All right, striker-fired handguns. All right, we're going to play with a striker-fired gun here, and we'll demonstrate to you guys that it is unloaded, magazine out, lock the slide to the rear, nothing in the mag well, and you see that there in the chamber. So that gun is clear. I'll also let you verify mag well on this one, and nothing in the chamber either. Okay, so striker-fired handguns. First off, what is it, and what is a striker-fired handgun, and how does it compare to a traditional double-action, single-action handgun? All right, so on a traditional gun, you have a hammer. All right, when you squeeze the trigger, it drops a hammer. What does that do? When that hammer falls, it hits that little circle there. Okay, that little circle is the back of your firing pin. Firing pin is a pin that's about that long, and when the hammer hits the firing pin shifts forward just a little, and it hits the primer at the back of the cartridge that is inside your chamber and makes the thing work. Striker-fired guns, no hammer. So how does it work? How it works is, instead of having a hammer that impacts your firing pin, now our firing pin is called a striker. So instead of squeezing the trigger and causing a hammer to actuate, there's actually a device in there that you can think of it a lot like you would a ballpoint pen. All right, it's under a spring pressure. So when you squeeze the trigger on the striker-fired gun, it compresses the striker back against a spring, and at a certain point, lets it go. And when it lets it go, it flies forward, much like the hammer would smack the firing pin and make it go forward. The spring makes the striker go forward, and it hits the primer on the cartridge and makes the thing function just like the double action or single action gun would. So the way the thing functions, just like either of the other semi-autos, magazine in, work the slide, round in the chamber. Now we don't have a hammer, but when we pull the trigger, click, it's going to function. Slide's going to work, throw the brass out, grab another round out of the magazine, and then click, 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 and pull the trigger. So one thing of note is most striker-fired guns have a trigger-based safety. Okay, a lot of them don't have an external safety. And how the trigger-based safeties, some of them, they have what's called a trigger shoe is one of the terms they use for it. And you can see this one, it's got a little lever back here. When I'm pulling the trigger, it makes that lever move. And why does that matter? If I don't pull the trigger in the proper way, then I can't pull the trigger at all. If I pull it just from the top, it doesn't do anything. If I pull from the bottom, you see that it'll pull all the way. Really what that's designed to do is to keep dropping again. If I drop this, smack it really hard, it's not going to do anything because there's not enough mass or weight here to cause this to disengage and you to be able to hit it. So you could, I wouldn't do it, but you could load this thing completely up and just whack, 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 whack. And it's not going to function because there's not enough mass in this to allow that to clear and activate. Okay, so that's the safety. And some of the guns also have associated with the trigger, as the trigger is being squeezed, some other pieces and parts are moving in here and getting out of the way of the striker so the thing can actually function. So they are quite safe. If you don't pull the trigger, they won't fire. If you do pull the trigger, they will fire. So some people are kind of nervous about that. They want some kind of extra safety device on the gun. But if you're comfortable with your ability to not pull the trigger or not let something accidentally pull the trigger, some car keys, lipstick, sticks and twigs or whatever, if you've got a holster that's guarding that trigger and you're comfortable with running with the gun fully loaded like that, which I am, then that's sufficient. That works plenty good.